The teachings of Rabbi Ephraim Sprecher, Dean of Students at Diaspora Yeshiva on Mount Zion, Jerusalem.
The Megilah calls us Yehudim, even though we come from 12 tribes. I come from Shevet Yisachar. So why am I called a Yehudi? I should be called a Yisacharite. And a person comes from Shevet Dan should be called a Danite. Why are we all called Yehudim? Even the Megilah calls us Ish Yehudi Yehoya B'Shushan Abira Avram. We can talk about the Megilah now, right? There was a Jewish man, Ish Yehudi, Mordechai Ish Yemini. I'm mixed up. He's called Ish Yehudi, but he comes from Shevet Binyamin. So he should be called, he's called an Ish Yemini and he's called an Ish Yehudi. He comes from Benjamin, he should be called a Benjaminite, and I should be called an Issacharite. So why does the Megilah refer to all of Klal Yisrael as Yehudi? Lech Kenoi says Kol HaYehudim. Over and over again it says Kol HaYehudim, when that's only 1 out of 12. So why does Yehuda give his name to all of the 12 tribes? And more important, how does it tie into the Megilah story? So that's the question on the table. What is so special about Yehuda that he gives his name to what? To all of the tribes. Yehuda, the word Yehuda means to admit. Do you know that? Lahoda. In Hebrew, Haida means to praise, but Hada also means to what? Admit. Moda'ani, usually wake up in the morning, Moda'ani lefanecha. Moda'ani lefanecha. My kids were told, they said Moda'ani. Moda'ani. Moda'ani lefanecha. What does Moda'ani mean? I admit. Why is it the same root as thanking Avram? Because when you thank, you admit that you couldn't have done it without him. So Moda'ani, I admit, God, that without you I couldn't wake up. So in Hebrew, the first same word for Haidah, praise, is the same word for what? Admit. Yehuda taught us to admit our sins. He sinned, he sold Yosef, and he sinned, we'll see, with Tamar. Yehuda taught us to admit our sins, and therefore he's the role model of teshuva, and therefore he gives his name to all of Am Yisrael. And what has it got to do, Yosef, with the Megilah story? So we'll see. What has it got to do with the Megilah story? Let's take a look about the life and story of Yehuda. Yehuda is the grandfather of Mashiach. Yehuda had a son, Peretz. Mashiach is called Ben Partzi. Mashiach is called Ben Partzi. What does Peretz mean? Break on through. Break out. Mashiach gonna have to break out through all the tumah and all the shtuyot in the world. So Yehuda, Mashiach comes from Peretz. But look at source number 7. How does Yehuda become the grandfather of the Messiah? Source number 7. After Yehuda was the ringleader and he sold his brother, the family fell apart. Yehuda left his family. He went down from his brothers. And what happened there? Pasuk Bet Avram Vayarsham Yehuda Bas Ish Kanani. So one sin leads to another. He was the ringleader in selling Yosef. His brothers deposed him. He was the leader of his brother. Vayered Yehuda Medechav. So he leaves his brothers. He leaves his father. And he joins up with what? With a Bas Ish Kanani. He marries a Canaanite woman. Wow, that's a red line. Remember how careful the fathers of Israel were that their offspring should not marry what? Canaanite, the cursed nation. So Yehuda has relations with Tamar, and then she's pregnant, and he condemns her to what? To death, to be burned. Source number 7, Pasuk Chavav, Vayake Yehuda Vayoymet Tzatka Mimeni. And when she sends him the simonim that you're the father, he says, Tzatka Mimeni, she's more righteous than what? Than I am. Takes a great man to humiliate himself in public, to admit I was dead wrong. Yehuda means to what? Admit. Admit your sin, don't cover up.
He did 2 sins, didn't he?
He did 2 sins, and he did more than 2. He sold Brother Joe.
That's one.
Then he was deposed from his brothers. They kicked him out. He ran away from home. I think it's called off the derech. Off the derech. He was not involved in Dina. Off the derech. Tamar. We're talking about Tamar. Here we're talking about with Tamar. Right? He went off the derech, but there was a life-changing moment when Tamar was taken out to be burned, and she sent the Simanim, identify, you hypocrite. He could have kept quiet, but he fessed up. How do you say in English? He fessed up. He admitted. He learned from her that no matter what type of sin, no matter how hard life is, you never give up hope. You can always do teshuva for any sin. Tamar never quit. Remember, she felt that she must have a child from Yehuda's family. She felt that the Mashiach has to come from her and from Yehuda's family. But she saw it's not going to happen. She never quit when her husband's died. What was her husband's name? What was his name? Onan, and the other one was what? Er and Onan, right? It looked like she could never have a child from Yehuda's family. She never quit. She disguised herself as a harlot in order to force Yehuda to what? To be with her. Because she knew that the Mashiach can only come from her and from Yehuda. So she never quit. She never gave up hope. And Yehuda learned from her never to give up hope. So therefore, in the Megilah, Mordechai, even though he comes from Shevet Binyamin, he's called Ish Yehudi. Mordechai, like Yehuda, never quit. He never gave up hope. Even when the matzav seemed hopeless, the final solution. Haman and Achashverosh, they sealed the final solution. It looks like there was nothing to be done. Mordechai, even though he comes from Shevet Binyamin, he acted like whom? Like Yehuda. Yehuda means not just to admit that you're wrong, but Yehuda means you never quit. Even when the situation looks dark and hopeless, as it did for Yehuda, as it did for the Jews in Mordechai's time, but Mordechai never gave up hope. That's the matzav of a Jew. If you look at side number 2, going back to Mitzrayim, remember when little Benjamin was framed? Remember, Tutankhamen put the silver becher. Tutankhamen put the silver becher. I mean, Yosef, in whose bag? In Binyamin's bag? Binyamin's. Right? On side number 2, it's in my handwriting. You have that, Chava? All the brothers gave up hope by Binyamin. The situation looked hopeless, nothing to be done. Looks like Binyamin was the Ganif. They're all condemned. Forget about it. They all gave up hope except Yehuda. Even when the matzav looks hopeless, like in Parshas Vayigash, when Binyamin was framed, and it looks like it's over. And in the Megilah by Haman, we all became like Yehuda. We never gave up hope. That's why Yehuda gives his name to Klal Yisrael. When the situation looks hopeless, you never ever give up hope. That's why Yehuda gave his name to all of Klal Yisrael. Look in the 1948 war, in the 6-Day War, in Yom Kippur War, the situation looked hopeless. In the 1948 Mechemet HaShichrur, Chava, we were up against 7 Arab armies that had planes, they had tanks, and we had World War I rifles and seltzer bottles. I had a friend of mine who fought in that war in 1948, Akiva Besser, Zechreinu Levracha. He thought, you wouldn't believe it. They gave them World War I rifles. They didn't know which end is up. Yeah. Just came out from the Holocaust survivors. Go fight. And they had Piper Cub planes against the mighty Egyptian Air Force. Jordanian tanks. They put seltzer bottles in these Piper Cubs, and when you throw a seltzer bottle down, it whistles on the way down. So they threw hundreds of seltzer bottles, and began whistling, and it makes a big noise. So the Jordanian and Egyptian tanks, they saw these little bombs flying down. They panicked, they retreated. Do you hear this? Yeah. This is a true story. You can ask Mickey Marcus, but he passed away, right? Colonel Mickey Marcus. You can see the movie in it. What's it called? Cast a Giant Shadow. Yeah. We had no artillery. They had mighty cannon artillery. We had sewer pipes and one Davidka cannon, a Chama. You know Davidka and Davidka across the street to Binyan Klal? That's our artillery. That's all we had. It made a loud noise, boom. The Davidka, that cannon is there. It made a loud boom. Against 7 Arab armies with tanks and planes. Any other nation would have what? Give up. But not Yehuda. We never quit. The 48, in the 6-day war, the chief rabbinate told the Chevra Kadisha to dig 30,000 graves. They expected at least 30,000 karbanos. And Yom Kippur War, when we were overrun on all fronts, my brother was in yeshiva here in Haifa. I'll tell you the story. Talk about the matzav hopeless. There was no one defending Haifa. My brother in yeshiva in Har Carmel. He looked up from Har down. There were Syrian tanks in downtown Haifa. Wow. Now listen to this. Avram, you got to hear this.
This is where?
Downtown Haifa, Yom Kippur War. My brother's in Har Carmel yeshiva. From that mountain you can see down. So the brothers started, it was Yom Kippur. They all studied Vidu. They figured this is a second Holocaust. There was no one to stop them. They were overrun. All of a sudden, the lead tankist from the Syrian tanks pops his head out, downtown Haifa. Streets are deserted, it's Yom Kippur. Pops his head up, and he waves them back. You hear this? Why did he wave them back? Back towards Syria. So after the war, they asked him, are you Meshiga? He says, it must have been a trap. It's a trap. I can't believe how easy. It's a sucker play. The Jews are trapping us. They must have had something lined up to destroy all of us. So Hashem put this bee in his bonnet. You hear this? Where for no reason he just what? Thought it's a trap. He turned around and pulled out the Syrian tanks until the IDF had a chance to what? Cecil, to regroup. My brother saw this. Talk about the situation being hopeless, but we are Yehudim. Yehuda means never to give up hope. Never to give up hope. So therefore the Megilah, the hospital, to destroy, annihilate the entire Jewish people. And there was no way out. Yet we didn't give up hope. We began to daven, we began to pray, and the Jews mobilized, and they fought against their enemies. How many did they kill? We forget about that. 75,000 terrorists we killed. Look in the Megilah. It says we knocked off 75,000. We didn't bomb empty buildings. We didn't bomb empty cars. We destroyed 75,000 terrorists. Look, read the Megillat Esther. That's because we are Yehudim. If only we had that spirit today. If only we had the spirit of Yehuda today, things would be what? Much different. Now, Yehuda committed many sins, Nechama. Why was he chosen to be the Messiah? Why not Yosef HaTzadik? Why was Yehuda chosen to be the Mashiach? He did sin often. He went off to Derech, married a Canaanite. Why, of all people, was he chosen to be the ancestor of Mashiach? If you look at source number 24, the Sfas Emes discusses this question. See the Sfas Emes? On side number 2, the source 24. Who's the Sfas Emes, Yehuda? The Gera Rebbe. Chavi, you have that? Source 24. The Pasuk Yehuda atidicha achecha. Remember Yaakov on his deathbed, he rebukes some of his sons, but Yehuda, he says, Ata yuducha achecha. You, your brothers will what? Praise. Source number 24, Chava. Yehuda says, Yaakov, your Ata yuducha achecha, your brothers will praise you. Why? Ki Yehuda heichin aderech. Yehuda, he, look in Yiddish, a Wegweiser. How do you say that in English? A Wegweiser. Who knows Yiddish here? Pathfinder. Ki Yehuda heichin haderech. He was the pathfinder, the pioneer. L'chol b'nei Yisrael. V'nikva Yehudim al Shemo. And therefore he gave his name to what? All the 12 tribes of Israel. Why? V'zeh koach haida'ah. This is the power of praise, the power to admit, even though you're dead wrong and you're a great person, it's a big busha for you to what? To fess up? He fessed up in public. He admitted the truth. And this is how you can attach yourself to the truth. Source number 24. Vihi bebchina munah. Great amuna. Amuna what? Belief in whom, Zisel? It's not enough to believe in God. You have to believe. Who said that, Chava? You have to believe in yourself, David. This Fasem is amazing. You got to tell this, Ilana Miriam. It's not enough to have amuna in God. Avram, it ain't enough. Yehuda taught us you have to have amuna in whom? Yourself. No matter the sins you commit, you have to have emunah in yourself that God doesn't give up on me, and therefore I will not give up on myself. Rachmiel, who taught us that? Who? Yehuda. Therefore he gave his name to all the 12 tribes of Israel. Look at Sfas Emes. 1 second. Emunah. To believe not just in God. That ain't enough. To believe in your own greatness despite the fall. Korah Rovat Kari. Yaakov gave him a blessing. Korah Rovat Kari. What does Korah mean? To bend down. The lion, before he pounces, he what? He crouches down. Loimer afila b'shas yerida. The lion crouching down is a symbol of Yehuda's what? Fall. He fell many times. The ringleader is selling brother Joe and having relations with a Canaanite woman, then a woman he thinks that she's a zonah. Afila b'shas yerida. Even when Yehuda is going down, like the lion crouches down, yesh lo yischaskut. That's only what? A yerida l'tzorech aliyah. Because what does a lion do? The lower he crouches, Avram, what does he do? The more power to jump, to pounce. Therefore, Yaakov called him what? The lion. Even when you're descending, you're just strengthening yourself to what? To go up higher and higher. Ze achiluk ben Yosef Yehuda. Yosef was the tzaddik gomer Nechama. Why did Yaakov choose Yehuda as the Mashiach and not brother Joe? He says, the difference between Yehuda and Yosef. Look at this Sfas Emes, amazing. Was you, Yehuda, will be the poster boy for what? For teshuva. Beautiful. You're the poster boy for teshuva, Yehuda, huh? Yes, neshanim ayidei. People will lean on you. Lean on me. People will lean on you. That if you can pull yourself higher despite your fall, then if you can do it, every Jew can do it.
Is it also because of the fact that he wasn't firstborn, that it shows that even a person who's not firstborn can achieve more greatness than a person?
Yes, very good. Very good. But look what he goes on. You got to look inside you. The Yosef Nit'ala Mavego. Yosef was very high. Yosef was a tzaddik gomer. Yeah. He can't be the Mashiach. He's too perfect. I can't relate to him. He has nothing to teach me. Who could be my role model and leader, Avram? Who? A person that failed and did not give up. He can be my role model. He could be my leader. So it's Yehuda, not Brother Joe. A perfect person has nothing to say to me. I can't be late to you. So Brother Joe is out, and the sinner is in. It's an amazing idea. This is a Sfas Emes, no less. Let me just finish as you'll ask. Please hold that tiger. Hold that lion. Don't. So even though Yosef was a much higher madrega, Yehuda, you're looking in. Yehuda nasalai chizuk, but Yehuda, Yosef can't give a sinner strength. It's Yehuda who can give the sinner chizuk. How do you say chizuk in English? Strength. Thank you. Kamo shehu. Just like Yehuda failed and what? And became better for it. I can do it. L'chein kol Hashem ba imos Hashem. Therefore, Yehuda has God's name in it. Yehuda has God's name in it. Yud Kei. Is it? Wait. The perfect tzaddik Yosef doesn't have God's name in it. Who has God's name in it? The sinner. Are you getting this?
Yeah, I feel better already.
Mendel, are you getting this? Just incredible. David, are you getting this? This is Sfas Emes talking, not me. This is a Gera Rebbe, the first Gera Rebbe. Come on, Zisel. Look what he said. Your grandfather?
Rabbi.
My grandmother knew them.
So look what's going on over here.
The sinners are greater than the saints.
What? The sinner is greater than the saint. You hear what the man said? B'mokom shebalu tshuva omed, Gemara Brachas 34. I'm prepared. Brachas page 34. Rambam Hilchos Tshuva, that a Baal Tshuva stands much higher than what? Than a Tzaddik Gomer. Because a Baal Tshuva teaches me how to turn a sin into a win. A goody two-shoes can't teach me that. It's the Baal Tshuva, Yehuda, how to turn a sin into a win. Yes, now it's your turn.
Yehuda, this Canaanite girlfriend, did he marry her?
Yes.
When did he marry? He wasn't his only marriage.
Well, in those days you can have more than one wife.
Oh,
Different strokes for different folks. In those days you can have more than one, right? The more the merrier, right?
a lot better.
Right?
Tamar married?
The more the merrier, I said.
Yehuda were married?
They were married, right?
But she wasn't a Canaanite girl.
She was. She was, yeah.
Was?
Tamar was the king?
Tamar,
She was
But she was
the daughter of
married.
Shem, daughter of Shem, but whatever.
But she was married to his son, too.
Right. But the son kicked the bucket. Both of the sons kicked the bucket. So in
was-
Jewish law, you cannot marry a daughter-in-law even after when the son dies.
So,
But the Torah was not given yet.
so they both.
Torah was not given yet.
The son did marry.
Yeah, but the son died, and the other son died, and Yehuda took her, but he didn't know first that it's her. He thought that she's a zonah.
She converted, Rabbi.
There were no Jews then. The Torah wasn't given yet. Don't mix me up.
All right.
Torah wasn't given yet, right? This is hundreds of years before Matan Torah, right?
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
That's my question.
Now, where was I? Look at the next Sfas Emes. The next Sfas Emes, then we'll talk. Sfas Emes Yehuda. You see there's 24 with a check. The second one? Please show it to Alana Miriam. She'll give you a big kiss. This is amazing. Sfas Emes 24, the second one. Sfas Emes Bereshis. B'postik Yehuda Kikora Rovat. Yaakov says you are like a lion that crouches and bends down, even though you're bending down, but you're ready to pounce. Ki agam sheyosef hoye tzaddik. Yosef is the perfect tzaddik. V'ol of nema oy zaru ala tzaddik. The apostle can tell him that the perfect tzaddik is whom? Yosef. But he's not the Mashiach. He's not the leader of the brothers. Mikol mokam Yehuda. Gova be'echad. Yehuda, he is the strong one of the brothers. Who b'pchinat lishe leiv simcha. He is the one. What does leiv simcha mean? The righteous have a happy heart. What kind of righteous? The guy committed a lot of sins, Yehuda. Rashi perish yashar adav mitzadik. A righteous person is better than a tzaddik, because a tzaddik is what? A goody two shoes and never sinned. Who's a yashar? Who's a yashar?
Yehuda.
One who sinned and did teshuva, he is called Yashar. You ask anybody for directions in Israel, Nechama, they'll say Yashar, 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 Adasof.
Just that mean keep
I
going?
mean, Yeshar means straight.
Straight to the end.
Straight to the end. So Yehuda's the Yeshar. He's the straight one. He's better than the Tzaddik Gomer. Why? Yehuda has the power to elevate all those that fall. The role model of teshuva. If Yehuda can raise himself up despite his sins, then I can do it. So he's the Messiah. Ki Yehuda b'koychoi lahalot kol hanoflim. Yehuda has the power to elevate all those that fall. Yeshar or Chashem, to make straight their path. He is the one, the pathfinder on the way to teshuva. V'zeh kora rovatz. This means he bends down. He falls down, but that's in order to pounce higher. Afila b'shas nefila. Even when Yehuda is falling down, Avram, it's a yerida l'tzorech aliyah. Like the lion, before he pounces, will crouch down lower and lower. Says as Fasemes, Vaklal, Ki Ashvatim, all of the tribes, Nikra Yishrei Lev. All of the tribes are called Yishrei Lev, straight of heart. Vehem Omdim Letaken Hateva. And they are there. Our job is Tikkun Olam, Avram. Tikkun Hateva. How do you say that in English? To perfect nature. But how do you perfect nature? It starts with the guy in the mirror. The Tikkun Olam. The Reformed Jews, they have this Tikkun Olam. They want to save the world, right? Want to save the world. But Tikkun Olam begins first. You have to keep a kosher home. And you have to be a Shabbos observer. And you have to put on tefillin every day. First you have to fix yourself before you can fix the world. Yep. So Tikkun Olam, Rachmiel, begins with the guy in the mirror. You have to remind that to some liberal Jews, right? Yosef, he's too above. He's too perfect, Yehuda. He's too perfect. He's lamala min hateva. He can't be my role model. He can't teach me anything. Because why? He's too perfect. He doesn't know what it means to fail. So how could I learn from him? How could he teach me anything? It's Dafke Yehuda. Yehuda taught us. See, in the end of the page, it's in English. You can read that, Elisheva? Yehuda taught us. It's my handwriting.
Pick yourself up after the fall. Never give up. Keep getting up after each fall.
1 second. Yehuda taught us how to pick yourself up after the fall. Never give up. Keep getting up after each fall. A child learning to walk falls down again and again, but he keeps getting up. You ever notice a child, when he learns how to walk, he falls down? What does he do? He keeps getting up. He keeps getting up. He never quits. That's us, Avram, after 3,700 years. After Haman and Hitler and Abu Mamzer and Arafat the rat, we never quit. That's us Yehudim. Look at the child, keeps falling down. He doesn't quit. If the child would not fall down, Zisel, he'd never learn how to walk. You think about it. He'd be a cripple. If he didn't fall down, he would never learn how to walk. So if that's true in the physical world, it's certainly what? True in the spiritual world. Because we know, Avram, the physical world is only reflection. Spiritual world. What's true in the spiritual world is certainly true in the physical world, and vice versa. It's only when a person falls and he keeps getting up, Sheval Yipol Tzaddik Bakam. It's a pasuk in Mishlei that Tzaddik will fall 7 times and he gets up. Said the Baal Shem Tov, that's not pshat in the pasuk. Baal Shem Tov. Only when a person falls 7 times and he doesn't quit and he keeps getting up despite the fall, only then is he called what? A tzaddik. Not before. Person has to fall and get up and never quit to earn the title to be a Yehuda. So therefore the Megilah calls us all Yehudim. I live in Pisgat Zev. Pisgat Zev, according to the archaeologists, is known for a very, very sad incident in Jewish history. Over 3,000 years in the book of Judges, a despicable act was committed there by the Benjaminites, gang rape and murder. And the archaeologists say that place today is Pisgat Zev, the last stop on the choo-choo train. Now, if you read the story, your hair would stand up. This couple come to this town, right? And no one would take them in. This old man takes them in. Then the Benjaminites, they surround the house, and they demand that what? They demand what?
Gives them up.
They demand him. They want to commit homosexual gang rape on him. So instead of him, he pushes out his wife. And they gang rape her and they murder her.
What year was this?
Over 3,000 years ago. In the book of Shoftim. Now, a despicable act. But listen to me very carefully. Today we hear about gang rape and murder. What do? We turn the page. The entire Jewish nation stopped. No one went to work. A rape and a murder in Israel? There was a civil war. The Jews went to civil war against the tribe of Benjamin, almost wiped out the whole tribe because of one murder and one rape. Today we hear about rape and murder. What do? We turn the page. But the proper Jewish reaction is you cannot rest until the justice has been what? Done. And the perpetrator is punished. And Shevet Binyamin would not punish these murderers. They were intimidated by them. They were gangsters. So the entire Am Yisrael made a civil war and wiped out almost the entire tribe of Binyamin. Now, Binyamin, the Talmud, there's a pasuk in Koheles, Adam ein tzadik ba'oretz asher ya'aseh tov v'lo yechta. The pasuk in Koheles that there's no human being on the face of the earth that what? That doesn't sin. But the Talmud in Shabbos says that every rule has what? An exception. There are 4 exceptions to this rule. Every human being has to sin, but a rule has an exception of it. Even that rule has an exception. Who are the 4 that never sinned? Amram, the father of Moshe, he never sinned. Moshe sinned. Who's greater, Amram or Moshe? Who's greater?
Moshe.
But Moshe sinned, Amram never did. Who else never sinned? Yishai, the father of David, never sinned, and David did sin, big time. And who's greater, Yishai or David? And Kilov ben David. David had a son called Kilov. He never sinned. You ever heard about him?
That's why we didn't hear about it.
He never sinned. And the 4th guy that never sinned, Benjamin ben Yaakov. Benjamin ben Yaakov. He's Benjamin, the son of Jacob. He's one of the 4. Nechama, are you getting this? It's Amram, the father of Moses, Yishai, the father of David, Kilov, the son of David. You ever heard of him? And the 4th guy, Benjamin, he never sinned. So my question is, Benjamin ben Yaakov, he's one of the 4 that never sinned. How could he have such despicable, immoral grandchildren?
It happens.
Mendel, how could it happen? He never sinned, a perfect person, and his grandchildren in the book of Judges acted like sodomites. How could it be? Zisla, how could it be? Now my Rebbe, Rav Goldstein, Zechus HaGevrocha, told me, if you hear a question very carefully, really hear it, the answer is contained where?
In the question.
I'll repeat the question. Benjamin was one of the 4 that never sinned. He was perfect. What kind of role model, what kind of chinuch did he give his grandchildren that they became rapists and murderers? How could it be, Nechama?
Who was their mother?
Who was the mother?
Because he never sinned.
Elisheva hit a home run. This is the same idea.
Because he never,
Grandpa,
Never saw.
you don't speak to me. You're a fuddy-duddy. You are a malach. You can't teach me anything, and you cannot educate me. You don't know what it's like out there. It's a cool, cruel world there on the internet. A lot of nisyonot, a lot of temptations. Grandpa, you have nothing to teach me. You can't be my role model. You're too perfect. You're a malach. And therefore, ironically, Zisla, because he was so perfect, he had nothing to what? To teach, to offer them. Grandpa, you're a malach. You can't be late to me. You don't know what is out there. All those temptations, Grandpa, forget about it. So that this is my humble opinion of dafke why a perfect grandfather could have such wicked, rotten grandchildren. He could not be the role model. It has to be dafke, a person like Yehuda, a person that knows what it's like to sin and to do teshuva. He could be my teacher. He could be my role model. But a Benjamin and a Yosef, too perfect. They have nothing to offer me.
What about Moshe Rabbeinu?
What about Moshe Rabbeinu? Did sin? He sinned. Didn't he sin?
Yeah,
But what? He hit the rock. He called the Jews rebels.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And he said, we will give you water.
It hit the rock.
What?
It hit the rock. Rabbi, you hit the rock.
You hear what's going on over here? So my humble opinion, this is my neighbor with Pisgat Zev. So the message is that what? That if you want to teach your children, you have to point out your own failures. You can't cover up. Otherwise, say, Dad, what are you talking about? You're a malach. You can't teach me anything. I can't be late to you. You know what it's out there? The parent has to not be ashamed. Yes, I know. I also had wild oats. What's the word? Wild oats?
Yeah.
Right? And I also went off the derech. Everybody goes off the derech sometime in life. Don't cover it up. You tell your children. But I made myself a better person for it. You can do the same thing. Never give up on yourself. But if you two are perfect, you can't offer anything to your grandchildren. That's a powerful message, I think.
I feel better.
Huh?
I feel better.
Michael, you hear what's going on over here?
Yes.
So therefore, we are called Yehudim over and over again. The Megilah calls it Kenoses Kol Yehudim. And over again, La Yehudim, La Yehudim, La Yehudim. The Jewish people sinned. They participated in the drunken orgy of whom? Of Achashverosh. In that feast. But they did teshuva. They did teshuva. Rabbi Yosef. Isn't it strange that Purim is such a holy day? It's Yom Kippurim. The Zohar said it's a day like what? Yom Kippur? Is it mitzvah to get drunk and feast? What's going on? What's going on? How could a day that the Zohar calls as holy as what? As Yom Kippurim, Purim, how could it be a mitzvah to become shikar and to stuff your face? What's going on over here? I'm glad you asked. In Judaism, the way you sin is the way you win. We sin by attending a non-kosher drunken feast by Achashverosh. Right? So God says, you sinned with a feast and wine. Now you're going to take a wine and a feast and what? And do it my way. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. What other reason could there be for having a mitzvah to feast, to stuff your face until you're blue, and to drink? Because we sinned with the feast and the wine by the drunken orgy of Achashverosh. So God says, yes, the way you sin is the way you win. Now you're going to have a kosher party, and you're going to drink kosher wine, and you'll control yourself despite the wine. The tikkun comes from the chet in Judaism. The same idea with the golden Mishkan. Right? We sinned with the golden statue, So God says, take gold and do it my way. Now make golden lovebirds in the Holy of Holies. God needs golden statues in the Holy of Holies? Golden statues? Yes. You sin with a golden statue? Now the tikkun is going to be with what? Golden lovebirds. They're also statues. So Yahadut, that's the message. The way you sin is the way you win. So that's why Judaism is such an optimistic religion. Such an optimistic religion. And therefore, we have to be besimcha. Mishenechnas adar, marbim besimcha. It says marbim. What does marbim mean? Increase. It means all year you have to be besimcha. Hashem besimcha. All year you have to be besimcha. When it comes to adar, marbim besimcha.
Especially Adar 2.
Right?
Thursday, Friday.
Because the Jew is the eternal optimist. Things can only get better. Things can only get better.
That's right.
We're not that far from Pesach. I don't understand you. Pesach. Kineged arba bonim dibrei Torah. The Torah speaks for four sons. One of the four sons is what? A Rasha. And right before we read that paragraph, we say Baruch HaMokoim 4 times. Bless God, bless God, bless God, bless God. We're blessing God even for the Rasha. Isn't that bizarre? Take out your God that you see, Zisel. Right before we mention the 4 sons, one of them is a rat and lowlife, we say the word Baruch 4 times. Each one can get what? Why are you blessing God for the wicked son? Because today's Rasha could be next year's Chacham. Ah. You never give up on any Jew. Never. The Jews were Memtesh Shadei Tuma. Zisel. 49 levels of Tuma. Did God give up on us?
Nope.
So if God never gives up on us, we have no right to give up on ourselves, despite the sins that we committed. Despite the sins that we committed. That's why Judaism is such an optimistic religion. Why Ivdot Hashem b'simcha. B'simcha. Because today's sin can be tomorrow's win. Thank you. Yes.
And Tzibor is an acronym.
Tzibur?
Yeah.
Tzibur means a public.
Tzaddik,
Go ahead.
Benoni, and Rasha. You have to have a Rasha.
Well, that's one of the herbs and spices, right? The 11 herbs and spices, 10 smell delicious. One was very foul smelling. Ooh. The Chalbana, and the Gemara in Krisa says that represented what? The Rasha. Even the wicked Jew, spiritually, he doesn't smell too good, right? Because he has a lot of sins. He has to be part of what?
The mix.
The mix. And if he's not there, the entire service is what? Puzzle. Even the wicked Jew belongs in the Ketoris. Ketoris is the highest service of all the service in the temple of Ketoris. And the Kodesh Kadoshim, Ketoris, that they burned in Yom Kippur inside where, Yehuda? In the Holy of Holies. And in that mix had to have the foul-smelling what?
Rasha.
The Rasha in there. In the Holy of Holies. On Yom Kippur. And if it's not there, the entire Yom Kippur service of him is what? Apostle. And the Kohen is Chayiv Misa B'dei Shemayim. But I don't want the Rasha there. On Yom Kippur, the Holy of Holies? Too bad. If he ain't there, nobody is there. That's how much God loves even the wicked Jew. That's a very powerful message, I think, of hope, of why we are all called Yehudim. Never to give up hope, to admit your sin, and to move on, Abraham, despite the sin, or because of the sin, like the lion who crouches low and low in order to what? Pounce higher. That's why Jacob called him the lion.
For more of Rabbi Sprecher's teachings, visit rabbisprecher.com.